Good afternoon. My name is Carmel Terborg, and I have the honor to support our users across the UN system as the lead account manager for the UN in Esri's nonprofit and global organizations team. I'm joined here today by Dr. Einar Bjorgo, the Director of Satellite Analysis and Applied Research at UNITAR, who have been our co-organizers over this last decade of this event. Einar, please.
Thank you, Carmel. It has really been a pleasure to be working with you for the last 10 years. And of course, we're looking forward to another 10 years of collaboration.
Well, we've just experienced 2 amazing days of sharing and learning, and I want to thank all the presenters for their hard work to bring so many interesting sessions to life. While the event was held on a virtual platform, we saw that participants were able to join us from across the globe, with increased attendance from both Asia and the Americas regions in particular. We're really thankful that our colleagues from the country offices and the field missions, who are often unable to participate in person, were able to participate in this format. In fact, over 1,200 participants registered, and for those that are not near the Central European time, they will be able to join the platform in the coming days to watch the sessions during a time that is convenient for them. Einar, what have been some of the highlights of the last 2 days for you?
Yeah, for me, I think it's this confirmation, let's say, that we see how GIS is having an increasing impact towards a sustainable world. There is so many excellent presentations, innovative ways of making use of this technology. And as a community, I think we should be very proud of what we have achieved with great interaction and a spirit of collaboration during these last 2 days. So from my side, I think it's really important to see how the variety of applications, including the latest uses of, for example, artificial intelligence and machine learning, are really starting to have an impact. And what I think is very interesting with this event is that we see how it is having a practical impact at the local level and really benefiting large organizations as well as smaller organizations and government employees, etc. So I think it's this understanding and seeing all the great examples of the technology that I think is really one of the highlights I would like to cover moving forward.
Great, thank you for sharing that. For me personally, the vision that was laid out by Dr. Tedros and Ms. Heber-Girardet and Mr. Dangerman were really inspiring. Their vision reminded me that there's still a great need that exists and certainly a great potential for geospatial technologies. The future is really bright for all of us that are engaged in this community. And certainly we've seen WHO has been highly engaged and one of the largest response efforts ever imaginable with this global pandemic. And our theme of the conference this year, looking at enhancing response and resilience, has certainly been important to highlight many of the ways that they've been using GIS, applying GIS to aspects of their work from those early days of data collection of cases and getting all the information that was necessary for helping with the response and providing guidance to member states. The tremendous need for resilient communities and urban infrastructure is never really lost on me. That's something near and dear to my heart. So it was really great to hear from you and DRR on that topic around resilience as well. After nearly about 25 years at Esri, I'm continually inspired by the creativity and then challenged by the need for applications of GIS by this community. There's never a dull moment. Just imagining the ways that GeoAI, as you mentioned earlier, alone can be applied. So many opportunities exist to better understand the patterns and trends of what's happening in our world. And really to be able to make this type of analysis more accessible than ever is really exciting. I guess I became a geographer because I wanted to understand the interconnections in our world. I've always seen the world as a system. My background was in forestry, and certainly the impacts of humans on the landscape were very evident in that field. And GIS allows me to bring together some of these complex realities of environment, social, and economic factors, and really make sense of them all. And with this increased ability to do more integration and analysis of data and so forth, it's a pretty exciting time to be involved in the industry. So the presentations also by the community in the lightning talk sessions are always my favorite part of this event. I learned so much from the community, and it's really gets me thinking about the new ways that we can apply our technology and identify new capabilities that are needed to better support your work. So Einar, during the opening plenary, you and Ryan were talking about the path that we've taken together to get us to here. Let's talk a little bit about the future and where are we going?
Yeah, thanks, Carmel. I think there are, of course, many topics that I'm sure will come up over the last 10 years, many of which we don't even think about today. But one thing I think is this interplay between climate conflict and disease. We have seen that. We see how climate has an impact on conflicts. There are many studies on this, and we show how various climatic conditions can lead, of course, to displacement, to hunger, and which again can lead to conflict. On top of that, they can also lead to disease. So we need to think carefully, I think, on how we as a community are able to assess these various interactions between different topics. And again, facts-based science is really behind all this. I think also we need to focus on resilience building clearly, not just in terms of let's say, physical infrastructures in many of the places we're exposed to, for example, tropical cyclones. Obviously, there's the physical infrastructure needs, but also in terms of data preparedness. And our colleagues from WFP, I remember in many of the sessions, we're really focusing on this. So focusing on data resilience, I think it's data for resilience would be really something that we need to make sure that we highlight moving forward. And then another thing that maybe I don't think we are necessarily good enough. I think Esri is pretty good at it, but maybe not the rest of us are equally good. And that is about measuring impact. I think from a practical point of view, a lot of us work on making use of these technologies for having a practical impact. But it's extremely important to document it. I'd like to get back to that a little bit later. But I do think that what we are able to measure and to show is going to be increasingly important. But we do need to make that effort because in terms of impact from GIS, we have so much to contribute with. But I think we're just scratching the surface, really.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Making sure that we do measure that impact and enhance it where needed is really important. I'm really excited to delve deeper into seeing GIS applied to some of the themes that have been highlighted by the Humanitarian Network Partnership Week, which is a parallel session to this event. And they've highlighted a few priority topic areas that we need to kind of consider in the humanitarian community. And I'd love to see GIS applied to these. First, I think we really need to work on anticipatory action. We know some solutions that work really well for being able to support communities that are at risk for certain disaster types and things like that. We need to scale those solutions up and make sure that they're readily available to those places and people that will be affected by certain types of natural disasters in particular. I think it's also important to really start advancing some of our predictive analysis tools and being able to start predicting and anticipating where we need to have interventions and so forth. So those are two areas related to anticipatory action that I think are important. Secondly, with respect to the nexus, which is the nexus between the humanitarian development and peace actions, I think it's really important to utilize GIS for its full potential for collaboration. Sharing data, sharing solutions, a lot of what we've seen here in the last few days, being able to get the best logistics data from the log cluster or being able to get the best demining data through the IMSMA programs and so forth. So being able to have that really important data and information and contribute to that nexus is, I think, very important. And lastly, I think that inclusion is really vital to making all other humanitarian responses and resilience efforts more effective. We need to have the stakeholders on the ground, the local communities participating in response and resilience efforts. And as you highlighted a little bit earlier today, that's really important. Also, we need to consider all the marginalized groups, people like older people, youth, people with disabilities, ethnic groups need to all be fully engaged and represented. Doing things for others is highly commendable. However, doing things with others will be more effective and inclusive. GIS really provides a lot of opportunities for more equitable access to information and analysis. And we have a huge opportunity as a community to make that happen. and also increasing the participation of local communities and marginalized groups will create more effective solutions in the end, because you'll be considering all the people that need to be part of the process. So in particular, thinking about youth, I just mentioned them as one of the groups that we need to engage. Some parts of the world have a high number of young people in their population, and how can we build capacity for and with those folks, and advance geographic thinking for the next generation?
Yeah, I think from our side, we do a lot of training and capacity development. Normally, we do that at the governmental level. And what we see is that the importance of taking time to really understand the real needs at the country or even at the local level. This is fundamental for both, at the technical level, and we often work there with young staff members, because typically, you enter, you have the technical skills that in many countries may be lacking a bit with the older population, but the young population and the young staff members are definitely bringing something in there. But being able to I would say, build their technical capacity at the same time, while we are also making sure that the decision makers have an understanding of the technology. I have my colleagues at UNITAR's 2030 agenda unit. They say learners today, leaders tomorrow. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. I think that, yes, by being learners today, we have to invest in the young population, because they are tomorrow's leaders. So that is also what goes in the GIS domain, meaning that over time we are contributing by let's say, building capacity at the technical level. We are over time contributing towards decision making, making this technology much better understood, also at the more senior decision making level, because these people that we are training today are eventually, of course, also having that aspect, and sooner or later becoming decision makers. So I think that is an important element, and something that we need to do more of course. Then it's also the issue of STEM or GeoSTEM. Here we need to focus more on diversity. I alluded a bit to this in the opening statements, especially towards improving a gender balance. I think that all teams perform much better through diversity, both in terms of perspective of things as well as towards innovation. I also think that there's a good news that there are more and more women in the field of GIS, but also we need to make sure that there are career paths available for women, and that we are also seeing at the leading roles a much better gender balance. I think also, one example was something we did together with the International Telecommunication Union a couple of years back, in terms of supporting girls in ICT initiatives. They have something, an annual event. It's actually coming up tomorrow, the next one, and that's celebrating their 10-year anniversary this year. And so I think that is also important to really focus on this. But also, as I mentioned, for young people, make sure that you record your success stories. Make sure that you learn from the impact you have had, and also, of course, it's also learning by failure. So make sure that when you are, let's say, instead of moving quickly towards the next thing, make sure that you are actually documenting for yourself and for your organization what you have done and what the impact it has had, because that is a great way to really take a little bit of a step back, not just necessarily immediately focus on to the next thing, but do reflect a bit on the job, how you can be made better. Maybe there are other technological ways you should be doing that, etc. Finally, also just mentioning online learning, which is of course becoming very important, especially these days, in order to reach more people. And I think also the mapathons that we have just seen launched here today, a little while ago, it's also a great way for this as to have young people get a practical understanding and a practical introduction, let's say, to GIS systems and to the value of geographic information, I think doing things for humanity is very appealing to young people. So I think that is a great way to have them interested in GIS.
Great. Thank you so much for all those insights. That's wonderful to hear about some of the projects and work that you're doing. I recently read something called The Next Generation is Generation Change. And I think that you're so right that they really want to change and change the world for the better. And it's really exciting to see how that they are just, they're digital natives, if you will. They're able to just work and operate in a virtual environment and through the internet and so forth. And having those opportunities available to more and more people will be wonderful. We can reach out to many more folks. Two of the ways that Esri offers online learning and capacity building resources to the next generation are through activities like we have free MOOCs, massive open online courses. Those are on a number of different topic areas. So from building your own apps to spatial analysis and cartography. So if you really want to learn in depth over many weeks at your own pace, those types of topics, it's a great opportunity for young people, actually for all of us, for our professional development. And then we also have free application-focused Learn Lessons for ArcGIS Learn Lessons, and those are provided other opportunity for free access to the technology and the actual exercises. So please feel free to look those up, both the MOOCs and the Learn Lessons. Additionally, we really enjoy opportunities here at Esri to engage in efforts like this Mapathon that was just launched in the last session. We really like to share the opportunity to engage also with groups like Youth Mappers. They have chapters all across the globe, and seeing as so many universities and schools have Youth Mappers chapters, which is supported by USAID and others, it's a fantastic network of the next generation of professionals. We also really like to engage in real world efforts. These opportunities provide real world applications and are very inspiring, as you noted. People like to support humanity, and the more opportunities to do these types of efforts and activities, the greater the opportunity for really geographic thinking to advance. So I really encourage organizations promoting these types of activities, engaging themselves and engaging the next generation. Personally, my experience is mentoring students and providing opportunities for young professionals in low resource countries has been perhaps the most fulfilling part of my career. And I really hope that all of us will kind of pay it forward and take a moment to do that. So hopefully some of you have put some questions in the Q&A box. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to take a look at I hope we can take a look at some of those questions if there are any from the audience. Anybody want to submit a question? Okay, not seeing any at the moment. If you think of any, please feel free to address those. And our colleague Ryan will be able to alert us that those are available for us to answer. Einar and I are happy to answer any questions you may have about the session. This is the closing session, so if there's anything you'd like to voice, please bring that forward and let us know in the Q&A. Okay. Just take a moment to see if there's anything coming forward. Okay. Well, what's next? Where do we go from here? Just so you all know, the content will be available for 30 days for all of you who have registered for the event. You'll be able to come back into the platform through May 21st and revisit any of the content, review any of the sessions that you may have had to miss. Perhaps you were in one of the technical sessions and wanted to participate in the other. You have the opportunity to do so. So don't hesitate to come back to the platform and review it. Might be interesting to sit with a group of your colleagues if you're able to meet in person and share some of it that way as well. We also ask you to go back into any of the sessions and complete the session surveys from the link on the left side of each of those session pages. Really important to have that feedback from all of you so that we can see what we can do better, what you really enjoyed, what you want to see more of, and those types of things as well. So if you have a chance to do that, we'd greatly appreciate it. Let's see, so there's no questions. They're very glad to have us host this virtually. Okay, we got a comment from the audience, so we appreciate that. I'm going to just share my screen now and give you a few takeaways. Perhaps you can use the moment to take a chance to grab a piece of paper and a pen to write down a couple of these ideas. So where are we going from here? What's next? I have a few calls to action, and they include, please go out and engage in the Humanitarian GIS Hub that was introduced by Olivier earlier today. This is really our vehicle for exchange, and the website is there for you at explore-humanitarian.hub.arcgis.com. It is going to be continually improved upon, advanced, and we're looking forward to your participation in the Humanitarian GIS Hub. We hope that you'll also participate in the Mapathon over this next week and join us for the culmination of the Mapathon on April 29th at 4:30 in Central European time, at 16:30. In a session, it's called the Impact of Crowdsourcing Sourced Mapping in South Sudan. And there will be a summary of the activity that'll be presented as part of the Humanitarian Network Partnership Week event program. And you can just search hnpw.org on keyword GIS, and you'll be able to register for that session. We also hope that you'll join the Esri Sustainable World group that is found on LinkedIn. Please feel free to go there and join that. It's where we can really keep this conversation going forward. We also hope you'll join us for events that UNITAR and Esri are hosting in the future. We have these webinars, on-demand courses, learn lessons, and of course there's the user conference in July as well from Esri. And last but not least, we hope you will respond to the survey that is going to be sent to all of you. Let us know how we can improve this event for next year. And hopefully we'll be able to meet in person in Geneva next year together again. So we greatly appreciate the opportunity to meet with you virtually. We also look forward to being able to connect once again in person. Einar, do you have any further thoughts or comments about the event?
No, I just want to reiterate, it's been so great to see the engagement over the last 2 days among the audience and the participants, seeing the huge variety of application areas from locust to Africa, geoportal to climate resilience in the Pacific. And also what I observed was the possibility, I would say, for these initiatives to interact through data exchange, to information exchange, etc. So I think even this is also an important aspect of this event, is to make those connections at the very practical level to see how can information I have be benefit to you and vice versa. So yeah, I think that is something that we have seen. I've seen some quite a few discussions in the chats, etc. That will make this happen. Also, I just want to highlight, yes, the Mapathon for South Sudan. Please do sign up for that, and I really hope that a lot of you will do. It's a great initiative, and especially in the COVID situation, an extremely important initiative. So I encourage you all to sign up for that.
Great, thank you very much, Einar. So it's come to a close now. I really want to thank all of you for the time that you've spent with us the last 2 days. And I hope that you'll take away many different ideas about how to enhance response and resilience with GIS and the work that you're doing. A famous quote by Helen Keller is, "Alone we can do so little, and together we can do so much." We certainly have a lot to do in the years to come, and so let's continue collaborating and working together to create a more sustainable world for all, for everyone. We look forward to seeing you in 2022 at the next GIS for Sustainable World Conference. Thank you.
Thank you. See you next year.